All right, here we are. We are live. Welcome, everyone, and welcome to my brother. Okay, Abuamerican. It's right there on the screen. Mashallah. Yeah, I just know the brother is Mitchell. Mashallah. Allahumma barik. Mitchell, man, it's like before we get started on the topic and everything, man, let's just talk about you for a minute, man. Would you consider yourself a new revert still, or I mean, you settled in?
It's a hard question to answer because there's a lot to undo there. So,
okay,
I was always, fairly religious. I'd say more religious than your average person. So, it's just a lot to learn. So, in that regard, I'd say yes, but I am fully committed.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah.
Mhm.
So I don't think I was a witness to your shahada, but I do remember around the time when you did take it, which was say what is like 2-3 years now, or 2 years, or has it been that long? I don't know.
Yeah, about 2 years, I'd say.
Okay,
Or wait,
mashallah.
2 years? Yeah.
Mashallah.
Yeah, it was pretty small, just like the wedding that I had. Those are
Mashallah, mashallah.
those are the best ones. Just
It always is,
small
man. It's
bread.
true. It is.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. So, on to our topic. Homeschooling. Now, I don't know. Actually, I don't even know, bro. Do you have any kids? That's before we go into homeschooling. Do you have any children? I don't know if you do. I really don't know.
Well, I've got one inshallah due in April, beginning of April.
Mashallah.
So.
Mabruk, mashallah. So first child, huh?
Correct. Yes.
Welcome to the trenches, brother.
First of many, hopefully.
Inshallah. Welcome to the trenches, bro. You know me. I'm like, I got number 10 on the way. Inshallah.
Number 10?
Number 10, bro.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't. I think this is the first time I actually mentioned it anywhere. I think brothers know, at least in the men's community, where Mitchell is in the men's community, that I married a Russian sister, and so we're expecting a child. Yeah, mashallah. So yeah, with that, we come into the discussion of like the modern day world. Basically, I mean, I think it's inevitable that we have to discuss like the condition of the modern day world in order to talk about your school, because that's exactly why we're here. You actually started a school, and so before we go into that, I want to talk about no, let's talk about that first. Let's go into the school. We can talk about the inspiration afterwards.
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, they kind of go hand in hand, but essentially, I mean, it's something I think we can all agree that's very much needed, especially in today's society, if we can even call it that anymore. Society, lack thereof. So, we've created a school that essentially, I want to hit four points, 4 core points that we teach. Excuse me. One is language. That's going to be a big thing. And essentially, this is going to tie in at the end. Language is going to be a big focus of it, which is important to learn anyway, especially if you're going to be doing international business, stuff like that. I mean, that just opens up so many doors. Traditional gender roles is going to be another one, which is, I think we can all agree, just not taught any longer, really anywhere.
Indeed.
Business and finance is going to be a big one. So, and this is going from preschool all the way to high school. Business and finance probably going to start around, 5th grade.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And the goal for the school is for each student, basically between ages of 16 and 18, to have a fully operating, functional, profitable business.
Wow.
So by the time they've even graduated, they've got a business. So we want to steer away from that college scam and go to. We should all strive for that anyway.
Indeed.
And then then we got international cultures. So if you really want let's say your childhood, hey, what's up? I know you. If you really want your child to basically be a deployable asset anywhere in the world, they're going to have to know cultures as well. I mean, I've worked with people from all over the world that work physically in the Middle East. So that's an important thing to
Indeed.
touch on as well. So and then as when you tile that in, we have a separate type of program called high scope learning, and most people use something called Montessori, which allows for a little more free play, but and less focus on those early years. But with this, I mean, it's been proven when a child is learning, how to speak English or whatever, how to talk, but you're teaching them, let's say, 3 languages at a time, then it comes naturally to them. Young children can learn like that. So,
yeah, I don't disagree. And it's interesting that you say that, because I myself, I'm in Germany, and so I have to say that being able to speak German, which is actually self-taught, I would have loved to have learned in school. I mean, I had the opportunity, but again, just coming back to the education system, just my experience in school was that if you weren't good with the teacher, you weren't good in school. And so I basically got kicked out of my German class. My teacher literally said, "I don't want you here learning German in my class," so they kicked me out, and I ended up learning German on my own. But like having multiple languages, it opens so many doors to you. It's like unbelievable.
I mean, I remember taking Spanish classes in elementary school, middle school, high school, but didn't really learn much of it until I got to Mexico. And
immersion is important also.
And when I was in Iraq, I was taking Arabic classes, and that kind of just came naturally to me. Really, it was just kind of a different type of cursive. That's how I thought of it, at least with the writing.
That's an interesting way of seeing it.
Yeah. I don't know how much like if you can read and write it, but
actually, I can read and write Arabic. I actually did the Juma khutbah today. I'm the khatib at my company. We just established a masjid, me and another brother, and it's weird because he's Egyptian and he has me being the khatib, and I'm like, yo, what the? So yeah, I was doing khutbah al-Hajj today, reading off the paper in Arabic. So it was
okay.
really like, it was kind of stressful actually.
Yeah.
But one thing I noticed is like, because at my company, which I don't like to mention, there's a lot of high achievers there, and I don't know, except for the U.S. team, which is very interesting, everyone speaks multiple languages, and I'm talking 2 or 3 fluently. I'm seeing people speak Arabic, Farsi, and Spanish. And so what I'm thinking is what I'm seeing is a lot of these people are from like, Iran or somewhere else or other places, and they studied in South America, and then then to top it off, they're learning German for their visa. It's unbelievable to see people speaking fluently to like different people on different teams in different languages like that. People are always acting impressed that I speak like 2 languages and I got some some broken Arabic, but the doors it opens for you are truly impressive.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's, like I said, that's something we really want to focus on. And then on our website, we also have a list of I guess electives. And some of them are boys only, some are girls only. Obviously,
Nice.
we've got religion on there. Obviously, we're not going to teach any others besides ours, but we got the tajweed, memorization, a list of foreign languages, even down to coding. I've got my list up right here. Videography, the stock market, which is my background. Sign language, debate, chess, shooting, firearm safety, stuff like that.
Firearm safety. See, that's nice.
Yeah,
That's nice. I like,
Anything we can think of.
one thing I really like is the idea that, like, teaching kids business from an early age. When we look at like how kids gain, and like you said, like even with language, especially with language, we see how young children gain an aptitude for something so rapidly, so fast. If we
Yeah,
gave
yeah.
them an aptitude at an early age for, like, something like business, that would probably be pretty good. We see these with these modern day. I mean, before it kind of collapsed, these like FBA slash uh where they use Chinese shippers to like sell stuff. I mean, we saw kids like driving Lambos to high school,
Yeah.
just because they learned it. So, if you focus at an earlier age, you make it like a core curriculum thing. That's pretty nice.
When you have a lot of kids, like some of the most powerful families in the world had a lot of kids and kept it all in house and just sent their kids all around the world to conduct business.
Indeed.
I mean, that's what we all should be focusing on whilst distancing ourselves from clown world, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know what's going on out there. Which
It's
brings
insanity.
us to the next topic, the inspiration. I mean, was it Clown World alone that caused that? What was one of the ticking points? 'Cause I remember you were talking about like opening a school before you did it, and you brought it up. I don't think it was in the men's community room. Maybe we talked about it in there. Maybe we talked about it in the back. We talked about it together, like personally, back when we were trying to like strategize businesses. What was the like absolute clicking point where you was like, you know what, this has just got to happen? What
Well,
was there a moment?
nobody else is going to do it. And I was thinking about it for myself. I mean, my son will not spend one day in a public school, or I mean, anything my children learn, they or need to know, they can learn from me.
Yeah.
So, like, what's even the point? And now you got like, I would implore everybody to go on. If you've probably seen it on Twitter, because it's going viral. It's not just within the Muslim community. It's going viral with these parents in Dearborn. And if anybody doesn't know, Dearborn's in Michigan, in the U.S. It's got the highest Muslim community population in the United States, and I believe they've got the only masjid that allows the adhan as well, like like over speakers. That could be a different city in Michigan, but I could be wrong. But anyway, I mean they're going up into their school board meetings, and the school board is turning off their microphones when they'll have a book in their hand that's like, I'm not going to repeat what's on it, but I don't think anybody would ever want their kids reading it, and it's just insane. And they'll turn their mics off, and they need to do a lot more than just showing up to school board meetings and complaining for 2 minutes while the school board allows them to have a microphone.
There we go. Maybe we can get a quick clip here. Let me see if I can get the sound to work here. I don't know if they're just yelling or if somebody. No, it looks like they're just yelling. I thought someone had like some nice speech there when I saw the guy standing up. But yeah, here's the article. Basically, Muslim protesters shut down Michigan school board meeting over LGBTQ, and then we know there's a whole bunch of other alphabet letters on there. Books, and yeah, I saw some of these books, man, and it's just like you have to wonder what this has to do with education. We obviously know it has nothing to do with education, more like indoctrination,
Correct.
as opposed to anything. So. Yeah, I was pleased to see that Muslims were actually leading the charge on this, like in a heavy way, where they like just basically, kicked in the door and was like, yo, this ain't happening. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like you said, it's not enough, because at the end of the day,
it's
what
absolutely not enough.
Yeah,
they need to do much more, because that's not working, and they need to take action on it. It's like I said, you can't just show up to somebody and yell into a microphone that they're controlling and they're allowing you to talk into. They clearly don't care. I saw one of a parent. I don't think it was a Muslim parent, but she rented this book out from the library. I looked it up and found the guy on Twitter. Yeah, and it's just insane
You
what
can share
was.
your screen. I think you have to, like, down at the bottom where it says present. There's like a plus, like it looks like a little screen with a plus sign. You can just make sure the audio is turned on. You're more than welcome to share there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to find it, but
Okay. I thought you had it up.
she was yelling that she said, and I don't care. I'll pay the late fees. I'm keeping this book. You know, they're gonna buy a new copy and put it in there. It shouldn't have even been in there in the first place. And you're gonna pay the late fees for what? Throw it in the garbage where it belongs.
Yeah, right.
Like, I can't believe that even, like, whose desk does that go across? Yeah, we're going to put this smut in a children's library. It's insanity.
Let's see. I think maybe this is it. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Oh, nice. Commercials. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Yeah, let me see. I think this is it. Let's pull the clip up here. Share screen, share system audio, share. All right.
This was a different one than I saw, but it's all the same premise.
Is it a different one? I'm not really sure.
Chapter
9, the ins and outs of gay sex, starting at page 201, part 1, boy on boy sex. Perhaps the most important skill you will master as a gay or bi man is a timeless classic, the hand job.
That is insane.
Yeah, that's mad.
That's in Charlotte too, so it's happening all over the country.
Yeah. There was another one I saw where, like, there was like literal like animations.
That was the one. It was a blonde lady, and she was reading some. I forgot what the title of the book was, but I looked it up and looked up the author, and there were animations.
Yeah,
it was all that LGB whatever, and
of actual intimate acts that should take place between a husband and wife, as opposed to like two random students in a school that are of the same gender.
Yeah, it's crazy, and they won't remove it from shelves either. So it's pure indoctrination. And we saw the other day there was a teacher removed from school, removed from the classroom for taking down the American flag and then putting up a gay flag, transgender, whatever it is now. It changes every day, but putting up one of those and having students pledge allegiance to it. It's crazy.
I'm glad I didn't say that one, man. I mean, I'm happy I'm an American, but I'm not. I wouldn't call myself like a diehard patriot, but it's just like, come on, what are we doing here? It's madness. It's madness. There was a point I wanted to cover on this also before I go to another reason. Now I remember that teacher, the woodshop teacher. Did you catch that?
Oh yeah. Crazy.
Who wants to subject their kids? I don't care if they're teens. These were bigger kids, if you want to call them kids, 16 to 18. Is a woodshop teacher. I'm not going to post that. But he was walking around class. Basically, he literally, excuse me for this for YouTube. They were walking around in mini skirts and like a massive prosthetic chest, just
like comically ridiculous.
Exactly, bigger than what's that thing? Who's Roger Rabbit's wife?
Yeah,
bigger than that. Ridiculous, just caricature type level. Prosthetic thing. What would possess a person to actually think that it's okay to do that, and then to top it off, subject our children involuntarily to that type of stuff? Yeah, that's the biggest part of it all.
Yeah, and if any of this, if I had one of my kids in a school like that and I found out about it, I would lose my mind. I wouldn't show up to, well, when's the next school board meeting, honey? Let's go there and I'll get the microphone. Yeah, sure, I'll complain about it. I'd be like, where's this dude live?
Yeah, it's madness.
Oh.
Which brings us to another thing. I mean, we've got two other things to cover basically on this. Now, let's talk about the little savages in school. Now, this is also something that, like, I posted the link to your school, just based off of seeing how there is clearly a social difference in how some parents raise their kids and other kids or other parents raise their children in terms of violence. And we see that there are some exceptionally violent students out there. You know, your child is supposed to be getting educated, and they end up in a very, very, like, hostile environment where other students, it's basically Lord of the Flies. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I don't know if you read that. They made us read it in school, but Lord of the Flies. Did you read that book in school? Did it make you read it?
I don't think I ever read it, but I didn't go to the best school in the world. So,
but you turned out well, alhamdulillah. So, Lord of the Flies basically is a plane crash on an island, and it was like a choir, and only the children survived. And eventually, it just broke down into a society of like multiple tribes, and then children who didn't have tribes, and there were just groups of kids killing other groups of kids on the island. And I mean, it seems almost Lord of the Flies level, when it comes down to children having to deal with other children who seem to have like a problem with properly dealing with their anger issues or emotions. I mean, it's madness.
oh yeah, yeah. I think I have a section on our website about like dealing with conflict and stuff like that, because I mean the first thing that a lot of kids jump to anymore is just violence, which, it's not necessarily something that you'd want to completely take out. You're not trying to raise like a little wimp, yeah. But
I'm a fan of violence. I tell everybody join combat sports. I mean, I literally like fisticuffs. Let's fight it out if you got a problem that you can't hammer out, verbally.
Yeah, but then you got that, and then you got people stabbing kids,
Yeah,
or like bringing weapons into the picture, all that, which is completely ridiculous as well.
Yeah, I always think there's a level of escalation to where it's like, there has to be reasonable discourse, conversation, which leads to disagreement that leads to disengagement. And if disengagement can't take place because it's a conflict that leads to two people who can't come to an agreement over common territory. When I say common territory, I mean like literally there's a conflict over resources, whatever else, something else, space. Old school human conflict. It's territorial and you cannot avoid it. Then okay, someone is going to have to defer to the other, either voluntarily or force. Now, does it have to be like the level of force that we see taking place in these schools? I don't think so. But it's just like, wow, that's another thing. Which brings us on to the final topic that I have a problem with in terms of like public schools. And just as a thing, you can't homeschool in Germany. It's actually illegal. If you homeschool here, they will literally come and take custody of your children. The state will come and say, hey, look, you can't have your kids anymore because you wanted to educate them yourself, even if you can prove to do a better job.
That's something I can't even fathom, because I didn't even know about that until 6 months ago, or maybe a bit longer. That in some countries it was just straight illegal to homeschool your kids, which is
absolutely illegal here.
Yeah, and I would say regarding that, like, just get out of the West. Like, if you have the means, I don't like any. I wouldn't necessarily consider like Latin America the West, but I mean, especially like U.S., Canada, Western Europe. If you have the means, just leave.
Just call it a day.
Yeah, that's the best thing anybody can do. I mean, we see it a lot where I live, but then again, a lot of parents just don't care and let their kids do whatever they want, and they don't go to school. Yeah. But there needs to be like some sort of control over that, and any like get to a Muslim country. That's probably the best thing to do, I'd say.
Yeah, which brings me to the point that's most important to me. parental autonomy over your children. I mean, even in countries where you're allowed to homeschool, you find that schools are now de facto removing your parental autonomy over your children by giving your children the right to decide as to whether or not they're going to, like, change their gender, take medications, whatever else. I mean, I've seen schools handing out birth control, handing out like condoms. This is school. What are you doing giving out birth control and condoms to students? Tell them they could take like shots for an illness without your parents' permission, for an illness that 99.96% of all people survive, when they get it.
Not only that, they have they have teachers required to report that. If your son or daughter says that they want to be they decide they're going to be the opposite gender or something, then the teacher has to report it. It's craziness. I don't know why anybody would subject their children to that. I mean, pull your kids out of school now. Yesterday. Do it yesterday.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's of utmost importance. And then most of them turn out, it's a very small fraction of our society. And I use the term "our" very loosely there. But I mean, I think it's like 40% of them end up committing suicide. And it just makes you wonder why they're even pushing it in the first place. But I think they're just trying to create as much mayhem as possible and bringing down the West. And I mean, even down to like, oh yeah, you can't farm yourself, you can't have a small garden, you can't collect rainwater, stuff like that.
You literally have to be connected to the grid. If you could, one thing that I'm interested in is biogas digestion. And so this is something self-study that, the reason why I mention that is because, like, we'll get into it. But anyway, being self-sufficient, is almost illegal. Biogas digestion is when you take your sewage and you create methane gas. Methane gas is highly flammable, which you can use to produce power from a generator. It'll literally run through a generator the same way gasoline will, at a lower burn rate, but it will still power a generator. If you disconnect from the grid, you are literally breaking the law. You have to be connected to the power grid if you have electricity. So if I have a log cabin and I'm just running fire in there and say I'm like, it's a hunting cabin, fine. But if I say I'm going to live there full time, I have to, by law, I think in almost every state in the Union, in the Republic, have to be connected to the grid. It's the wildest thing. They want control. And the earlier you start in terms of control, the better.
Yeah.
Dude Desi with a $10 super chat. Barakallahu Feek, bro. You're a number one supporter, man. Love you to death. Born and raised in the U.S. here, yet was homeschooled from 2nd grade to 8th grade. Alhamdulillah, I used to feel bad in the past. Now I would say I was lucky. In the proper sense of Aqidah, yeah, you're lucky. I'll tell you something, Dude Desi. I homeschooled my first 3 children. And in terms of, like, academic achievement, when the German government was giving us a hard time, because at the time I was with the U.S. Forces, and the U.S. Forces is what's called Status of Forces Agreement, SOFA, which means we have like a considerable degree of autonomy from the German system, which means you can homeschool your kids as American Armed Forces personnel in Germany. It was the only loophole that was possible, and they were coming at us hard because my ex-wife was German. And so they're like, well, they are German citizens. I was like, yeah, but they're also American citizens. And so, they eventually gave up. Eventually, my kids came back to Germany because we left. And my sons had saw maybe a total of 3 months in school. They were literally like just, fighting all the time, dealing with these crazy kids. I'm not one who throws around a race card, but those kids were racist. I always lived deep country. I'm deep country right now. I live super rural. They weren't used to seeing brown kids in that school. And so it's like it was just them against the world. They were, of course, alhamdulillah, they was kicking butt. But when we came back to Germany, my kids had to go do the German qualification for school. And so they were with a bunch of kids who were considered to be flunkies. You know, they didn't finish school and whatever else. And guess what? On a national average in Germany, on a national average, my kids were like in the top 5% of German scorers in terms of like education. You can literally say they saw like 2 months of school in Germany in their life. This includes German language, mathematics, everything. They came in and just chilled out that schooling and test, got their qualifications, and they bounced again.
Yeah.
So it's not hindering you whatsoever being homeschooled.
No, it's helping. And you know, we see those memes on Twitter, but since when did it become such a taboo? I don't know when exactly the paradigm shift happened of people just not letting other people mind their business, or people just not minding their own business. Like, what do you care what I do with my children, as long as it's not like something weird or illegal, you know?
Absolutely.
Or,
Yeah,
or
like,
what do you care if I'm burning, I'm taking a piece of wood from the forest and burning it in a fireplace, and I'm off the grid? What do you care?
Yeah, this is a conversation we had like with a lot of Germans back when they were trying to really, get at us for like homeschooling, and there was like, "Oh, your kids are going to be failures, whatever else, this, that, the other." I'm like, well, then if my kids become failures, it's because I was a bad teacher, and that means they'll be my responsibility for the rest of my life, not yours. I was like, so what do you care? It's my family. I'm going to take care of them. Alhamdulillah, I haven't had to. So it's like,
Yeah.
Ikram, Barakallah Fiq, said, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My mother-in-law homeschooled my wife from age 11 to 18, alhamdulillah. Funny story, just on homeschooling. My daughter, she's 22 now. She was what is called radical unschooled. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with radical unschooling or unschooling in general. Unschooling is basically, it's like you leave the kid alone, and when the kid has an interest, you support that interest. And my ex became a radical unschooler after the success we had with homeschooling. And I was freaking out. My daughter was like, she was like 11 or 12 years old, and she literally wasn't reading. I mean, she wasn't reading like ABC, nothing. And we were in Qatar. And I remember I was really freaking out because I saw the performance of some brothers. The kids were like looking really good. And I was like, oh man, I was like, we done dropped the ball here on this girl. Some book came out that she saw something on the internet in terms of like YouTube called Warrior Cats. And so my ex said, go get the books. So I ordered the books. I got them. And it's literally on par with Harry Potter. Bro, I'm not even joking. People think I'm lying when I'm saying this. It's 100% the truth. I'd say within like 2 weeks, she was reading those books front to back. She would come, ask, what's this word? And then she'd start figuring out words on her own. Homeschooling people is not something that you should be afraid of. As a father who's done it, like with 3 kids, the only reason why I didn't homeschool my other kids is because of the German laws. It's not something you should fear, which brings us back to you. Yeah,
Yeah, and now, I mean, I want to offer this option to everybody. I mean, it's different. That we've got right now pre-registration that's $500, and the tuition is it varies based on how old the child is, or maybe not even how old they are, which program they should be fit into. Different price. I think everything's annual on there, but I mean, I was talking about this with somebody the other day. I had my mother visit me for the first time in a while a few weeks ago, and she's telling my wife, that she's like, Mitchell, he was always he thought school was stupid. Because I always had like straight A's, and so I'm like, why am I here? And I'm wishing that I always went to public school, and I'm wishing my mother would have just pulled me out of school and let me do my own thing, or maybe put me in college earlier. But because you certainly could have done it, but it's whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. But that's another thing to think about.
Well, speaking on this, actually, I think we've seen, especially in this day and age, that like standard education as we know it is really not a deterrent to success. Would you agree with that? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, maybe in the sense that, like what I just said, if you realize that you don't belong there, because maybe I mean, I wouldn't have turned out how I am if I was, studying every day and school's important. I never thought it was because
yeah,
to me it was everything came naturally. I never studied, nothing like that, and I was just like, I don't belong here.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I think I have a similar experience. I, don't- I my success I had like a early success. I ran my own business, and then I just went into the whole work condition, work world, which was a nightmare for me. And I've come back to what one can consider to be, somewhat successful. But I have to honestly say that when I think about education, including like the university study that I did, I haven't used any of it. Not a single thing. Nothing have I used other than basic reading and writing. Even mathematics, I haven't really used. Other than some basic math that you can use to balance a checkbook. What have we used any of it for?
no, you don't. And the excuse there usually is, oh well, it's teaching you critical thinking skills.
Oh
Since when does graphing a parabola teach me critical thinking? When will I ever have to do this? Because that's something that was my best subject, and that's something that every single teacher I had would preface the whole year with.
Mm.
Don't ask me when you're going to use this. Just do it, because they knew that we never use it. Also, they knew it, yet they were still teaching it because they're required to.
Yeah, and it's funny because even now I do a lot of report writing because I'm in management, so I do a lot of writing of reports and whatnot. Not even report writing. I mean, everything's bullet points now. It's like there's nothing that I can think of, and so it is. It's a gross waste of your most energetic years of your life. When you
Oh
have the
yeah.
most what is it called, plasticity psychologically, when you have the most plasticity and the most capability to start molding the mind and behaviors into certain directions, they wreck it with like something like this that just basically is droning. It's just to make you like a worker type drone. It's not for your benefit, in my humble opinion. Obviously educators will disagree with me, but it's for the benefit of this society
Yeah,
that you go.
take a picture of your average American public school and take a picture of a U.S. prison and show me the difference.
Mm, yeah, right.
There is none. Even down to the food that they serve.
Yeah, indeed.
It's all trash. Everything they teach is trash. They serve you trash. Most of the teachers are trash. I'm sure there's a couple good ones out there that are just frustrated that they have to teach nonsense. But
You probably do the same thing I am. Like, what's this dude talking about? Uh, so yeah. Nah, that threw me a loop here. Oh, dude, Desi with the $20 super chat, man. Bought a lot of feet, bro. Like I said, this dude is the MVP. Spent many years going to college. Got my BA in economics, an economics degree, a BA economics degree. Couldn't find a job in my field and currently work at grocery store. Lol, alhamdulillah. Further proof on how modern college is garbage a lot of times. That's interesting, man. One thing I used to do with my daughter, I was in London with my daughter. She was already big, and I was living in London. This was about like 6, 7 years ago. We used to go into a store. She was talking about college. And I was like, okay, college/university, it has its place. I said, but make sure you know what you're going in there for. If you're going to go in there, make sure it's with a plan, that you have like a career path planned out. So every time we went into, I said, we're going to do an exercise. I said, this is London. Every time you go into a store, I said, I guarantee you the clerk, the barista, the cashier has a college degree. And I was working in a big tech company as an article segmentator, and an article editor, big tech company, and I didn't have a degree. And every single time without fail, we went into a store. I was like, hey, let me ask you something. Did you study? He was like, yeah. What did you study? I studied blah, 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 blah. Dude's a barista. I said, do you do this like part-time? No, this is my full-time job. We did this in every store we went into, whether it was for candies, a shop, this, that, the other. Every single time without fail. It's like, then my daughter started asking herself, like, why are they all, if everything they say about college education and school and everything is correct, why are these people working like entry-level jobs?
That's just another aspect of nonsense that they teach. I never took an economics degree, but became a stockbroker. Or I never took an economics course, or finance, even business, and became a stockbroker. But that's an aspect that they teach is, oh, go to college, get a degree, and then you automatically there's just a line of people waiting to hire you when it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I mean, once you start looking at the world as everything's the opposite of what they tell you, things start making a whole lot more sense.
Indeed.
Yusuf here said that website needs an about or instructors page, testimonials for credibility. I mean, it's a new site. Yeah, we're still working on it. It's brand new. Give it some time.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, and just going into that, you're actually, if I'm not mistaken, you're quite a successful stock trader. Is that correct? I mean, it's my understanding.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it for I don't even know how long.
Oh wow,
Probably
you got to really think.
9 years.
Okay, mashallah.
And I'll do it I'll do it while I'm on my deathbed.
Yeah, I know you was like, you were really pumping out the traditional stocks mentality when everybody was like big hyped up on crypto. Yeah. You and the other brother in the group, the brother I met with recently who came to Germany, and I put the photo in the group. Y'all are both like y'all made your money on stocks. He's he's a brother who became a millionaire off stocks and then something of cryptos, but like I think he said 70% of his millions came off of stocks. Yeah, so he was like, so I really have to say after you and then that brother, I was like, you know what, let me look at this stock thing again, because it just always seems complicated. And alhamdulillah, brother's just killing it, mashallah. Hamza with the 449 450 super chat, barakallahu feet, jazakallah khair, ya akhi kareem. Now, so in terms of the school and whatnot, does it go like the traditional age categories from like bottom to the top? I mean, I know you said like, up to like by the time they reach, what was it, 16, they should have a business or whatever else?
16 to 18, it's going to vary,
How does it start? How does it look, for people out here who are interested and they're like, okay, I got like a kid who's got 3 years of school, or I got a kid with no school. Where should they start? Can they contact you? Is there someone for like, consultations?
The website offers free consultations that you can schedule, but we've got a part-time preschool program currently, and then this is how it's split up currently: part-time preschool and then elementary, middle, high school. And additionally, I want to add with the high school level, we want to aim for doing kind of like a meetup once a year somewhere. Nice. Because just kids want to meet up and everything. Maybe do like let's say a ball or something like that, in Europe, whatever it is, maybe two a year. We'll see. But
mashallah. We are 44 minutes in, but I think we covered a lot, almost everything. Anybody have any questions? Now's the time to drop them. How can people find you?
On Twitter. That's where I spend most of my online time, I'd say.
Let me go ahead and pull up your Twitter here. Give me a second. Let's see.
Yeah, at Senor Michi.
Okay.
I don't know how to post I don't know if I can.
I'll drop it here. So if you want to contact the brother directly, like Yusuf, you're offering some assistance on like site improvement, whatnot, site management. There you go. That's his Twitter. Let me see if I can share this screen.
I usually use Twitter just to post my thoughts, and sometimes they're funny and sometimes they're not.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I like you. You got that. Your posts reflect that. So alhamdulillah,
Yeah,
mashallah.
I've even got my pronouns in the bio there.
Oh, really? I didn't even catch that.
You see them?
Nah, let me see here. Pronouns Sharia. Mashallah, there you go, right there. You see, dude, Desmond, another $5 super chat. Jazakallah khair. Many job posts online tend to have rich job requirements that I'm sure you can learn after getting that job eventually. You know, as a man who didn't finish university, I started, I didn't finish. You know, I can say that honestly, their standards are more of a wish list than an actual, like, you know, framework that they're going to stick to. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I waltzed right into, like, you know, middle/senior management right now. And it's a completely new field for me. And I just hit the floor running. Within 10 months, I got promoted and a bonus, you know. Everybody else in my field has a degree. I don't. And I'm just shooting up the ranks. So, nah, as long as you maintain that, what I would consider plasticity, or the word, you know, that flexibility, then no, absolutely, there's nothing you can't do. You know, you just got to remain flexible.
Well, it's also kind of a catch-22, because in the stockbroker world, you need the licenses to get hired anywhere, but also you can't get the license unless you're sponsored by a bank or firm, whatever. So yeah, I think that's he's kind of referring to that a little bit as well. Like,
I see.
Entry level requires 5 years experience. Like, remind me how that works.
Yeah, exactly. It's the craziest thing. Mashallah. Barakallah feek. It don't look like yeah, this is a true fact, bro. This is real. The rizq is from Allah. This is correct. Now, so you gentlemen, you have it right here. Let me drop it again. Oh no, wait, that's the wrong link. Okay, why is this not working? I'm having tech difficulties with my new setup. I have a whole new setup, guys. So you have to excuse me. Maybe I'll do a video on that. Website, boom. Avelli Academy. Go there, check it out. If you have kids, you should chill. I mean, no matter what, consider pulling your kids out of school. And a brother here, mashallah, our brother Abuamerican, he has provided the capacity to actually do it. You know, everybody's always waiting for Superman. Everybody, we always say no one's coming to save the day, and then someone actually is coming to save the day. So now you're gonna put your hand out and take the arm. The hand is helping you, or you're gonna like, oh yeah, that's nice up there.
Yeah, too many people are all talk, no action anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm trying to say it in nice ways. You know, so if you're serious, you know, and you have capacity, like, I mean, if it wasn't for German laws, I'd definitely do this without question. I yank all the kids out and I'd enroll them immediately. And, you know, it might still be an option because I'm getting my permanent visa coming up here in a minute, and I might just actually just live like right across the border in another country. And as far as I know, that country doesn't have a problem with homeschooling. So this might be an option for me. So no matter what, you know, even if you have kids in school, just the idea and the concept that your child will actually learn like business, you know, acumen or whatnot, take a look at it, you know, and talk to them about it. I don't know if that's an option, like in terms of like actual like courses / you know, sections that they could take outside of like a full curriculum or whatnot. But if it is, I mean, that's something else. You want your children to actually start thinking with business mind, you know? Because
it turns your children into an asset instead of a burden.
Yeah, indeed. There you go.
So,
you know,
yeah, which I don't think anybody really cares for. But you can schedule a free consultation on the site as well. You can do a student assessment also, see where they align. So.
Yeah. Mashallah, man. Barakallah feek. You really thought it out, man, there. Mashallah. You have to go to Belgium. You can do homeschooling there. Okay. Nah, barakallahu fikum. So, bro, we have like where they can contact you. They have your website. Jazakallah khair for coming on. You know, obviously you're in the men's community. You know, I got love for you, bro. So, you know, I want to see you successful. I want to see people's children successful. I mean, that's why I do what I do. We want to see marriages successful, families coming out of this, and I think this is all part of that. You know, it's like a chain reaction. You know, we help men become better men who end up in better marriages because they're better men, and then they end up having like better families, and these children turn out for the better because we give them opportunities. Just a chain reaction down the line. You know, we know that the scholars say it's like if you want to see a better ummah, then start with your family and start with yourself. And if everybody did that as a ummah, we would grow together and we'd be stronger. So I think this is a good start, man. Barakallahu feek, bro, for doing what you do.
Yeah, and I mean when we look at now, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you know, we look at now, if we look at the Sahaba, they're relatively younger, they're all warriors, and now we have largely, you know, if you ask your average non-Muslim person, draw me a picture of a Muslim man, they're going to draw a dude with a long gray beard with a kafiyeh on or something.
Yeah.
Like we need more of you know, that younger, stronger, everything else, mentally
Sahih.
and physically.
Sahih. The Sahaba were not weak men. They were good in business. They were good in warfare. They were good in everything they did. Alhamdulillah, good in religion. So yeah, definitely need more of this. And there were guys who had stable marriages to top it off. Everything. They were mashallah. They were like that perfect balance all around. Dude does a $2 super chat. You like Escape from LA. You're like what's that guy's name? Snake in the movie.
Snake Plissken, yeah.
We'll make dua for you. Yeah. All right, we're gonna go off air, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you have any questions, whatnot, you can even contact me and I'll put you in contact with Mitchell. You can join the men's community. You can talk to him there directly, or you can catch him on Twitter, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.